Hey everyone, Arthur here. This one is for you guys in Europe. Yeah, finally, after being left out of the last 3 major 3DS sales, Europe is finally getting one just for itself. And it's a substantial sale with nothing less than a bunch of ATLUS games and a very decent number of other relevant games from other publishers as well. It's unfortunately not the full catalog of ATLUS games, but I will explain why that is later. First, let me say that I've been following the sales on 3DS and Wii U closely. I check those every day now on both the Americas as well as the European region. So if this is your first time here, stay tuned to the channel and to my Twitter page as well so you don't miss out on any of those. So let's do the intro music and get to the games. Welcome to the channel. This is From the Void. Okay, we have 6 ATLUS games on sale in Europe. It's just a portion of all games available on the 3DS from ATLUS, and that's because these 6 games were published by NIS America in Europe. So they call the shots for those titles. It's corporate shenanigans, what can I say? So we can still hope that the remaining games will get a sale in Europe as well. I believe those would have to come from Sega. Okay, let's talk about the games. First we have 3 Etrian Odyssey titles. Etrian Odyssey 4 Legends of the Titan, Etrian Odyssey Untold, The Millennium Girl, and Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold, The Fafnir Knight. This series is well known for its excellent style of dungeon crawling, where you use the stylus to manually draw the maps of the dungeon as you explore it. And that is much more fun than it sounds, believe me. The challenge in Etrian Odyssey games is really high. There's a constant threat of going too deep into the dungeon and facing powerful creatures you're not prepared for, which increases the thrill of exploration even more. This is one of the best series of dungeon crawlers ever. Each entry is excellent here. Etrian Odyssey 4 is currently 50% off, going for $4.99. Then the Untold games are a bit different. They are reimaginings of the first 2 games in the series from the DS, but this time with proper characters and story. If you don't know, in the regular Etrian Odyssey games, your characters have no backstory. You just hire them, give them names and jobs, and that's it. The story is usually much more about the dungeon than anything else. But in the Untold games, they fleshed out the narrative and characters much more, so it's both a nice change of pace for the series as well as a great place to start for newcomers. Etrian Odyssey Untold, The Millennium Girl, is going for €4.99 with a 50% discount, while Etrian Odyssey Untold 2, The Fafnir Knight, is currently 75% off for $9.99. Unfortunately, Etrian Odyssey 5 and Nexus are not currently on sale, while Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon, I believe, was also delisted from the European stores. I know it was delisted from the North American stores, even though it still appears in Nintendo's website, but if you click to buy it there, you get an error message. So Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon is unfortunately a physical only game right now. Then, the only Shin Megami Tensei game currently on discount in Europe right now is Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. This is an enhanced remaster of the DS original, and much like its predecessor, it mixes things up a bit by presenting the encounters in a grid-based tactical RPG style, while the combats themselves are regular turn-based, which is an interesting mix of features. It also has a very dark and interesting story. It's a great game. It's now 75% off, going for $9.99. Next is Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth. Unfortunately, the sequel is not getting a discount. The Q games are pretty much the Persona take on the Etrian Odyssey style of dungeon crawling, but much more fleshed out in terms of story and characters, as it mixes the casts from Persona 3 and 4 together, so it's guaranteed to appeal to fans of the series. Persona Q is getting a substantial 75% discount, going for $4.99. And next is a great strategy RPG, Stella Glow. In my opinion, this is one of the best strategy RPGs on the 3DS, hands down. It has music by my favorite video game composer ever, Yasunori Mitsuda from Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross fame, which is important because there is a whole musical theme going on in this game, and it may not seem like it, but the story here is one of the best aspects of Stella Glow for sure. It picks up right after the initial 10 minutes, and it develops a great pacing, remaining interesting throughout the game's entire duration. And the battle system is also absolutely solid. Fantastic game, Stella Glow. It's currently 75% off, reducing the price from $39.99 to $9.99. Moving away from the ATLUS games, there's still a lot of worthwhile titles to talk about, and a big highlight goes to Culdcept Revolt. Right away, let me say that this game does not translate well into video. Just looking at it without playing surely makes it seem like a boring game. Even more so when you hear that the gameplay is exactly that of a board game but in video game format. But Culdcept Revolt is actually a really cool, fun and unique game. Basically, you compete against other players, taking turns by rolling the dice and moving to spaces in the board. When you land in a space, you can claim it by placing a creature on it. Then if another player lands on that space, they will be demanded payment, or they can attack it to claim it for themselves. It's like Monopoly with war elements, which is a pretty cool concept if you think about it. Each end of turn, you earn a new card, which can be a creature or a spell to improve your dice odds, or move a predetermined amount of spaces, or a multitude of other effects. But you need to use them wisely as you spend your mana, which you will need to replenish by reaching a gate in the map. This game is insanely addictive, you have no idea, and since it has a really well balanced progress, playing Culdcept Revolt feels great. Looking at it though, not so much. This game is currently 87% off, reducing it from $39.99 to mere $4.99, a really impressive discount. This one, by the way, is also on sale in the Americas region. Following up with a great entry in my favorite visual novel series ever, Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. This is the second entry in the Zero Escape series, right after 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, which is another fantastic game. And I can't stress this enough. The stories in these games are absolutely fantastic. I am not exaggerating even a little bit, seriously. Plus, along with the excellent narratives and the nail-biting choices that lead to multiple endings, the Zero Escape games also present great puzzles. All entries in the Zero Escape series are brilliant, and Virtue's Last Reward is not an exception. So take advantage of the substantial sale, reducing this game's price from €24.99 to a much more attractive $4.99 with an 80% discount. Moving on to a very obscure game worth a mention for sure called Sadame. This is an isometric style of beat 'em up with a lot of RPG elements included. You could probably also place this in the action RPG category. I love the look of this game, it reminds me of Secret of Mana, and the action here is simple but effective. You choose one of 4 characters, each with a very different fighting style. The samurai is powerful with high defenses and the best one for melee combat, but is the slowest. The ninja is the fastest, has shurikens, but is the worst for melee combat. The monk is the more balanced of the 4, and the rogue excels at ranged combat as both her weapons have long reach, but she is the most fragile of all of them. Each character has a stamina bar for dodging and 2 different kinds of mana. One is for the spells you learn by equipping gear, and the other is for the karma spells, which you learn as you progress. And you can equip 8 magic spells at once. So as you can see, and this is one of the best aspects of Sadame, this game has a lot of personalization options. It is impressive. However, the gameplay itself can feel stiff and repetitive, especially in the beginning until you unlock new combos, spells and gear. So be advised that this game will only be appreciated by a more patient player willing to put up with some amount of frustration for a big satisfaction later on. And there really is a lot to appreciate later on. You even carry the equipment you acquired with one character to the other ones, so the replay value here is really high. Sadame is currently 80% off, going for only $2.99, so this is a great time to add this one to your 3DS library. Next are the 3 Harvest Moon games on sale, starting with Harvest Moon 3D, The Tale of Two Towns. There is an interesting piece of corporate shenanigans to go through about the Harvest Moon series, which I'll try to explain as briefly as possible. The Tale of Two Towns is the second to last entry in the original Harvest Moon series, which continues nowadays with a different name, Story of Seasons. That's because Marvelous are the owners of the series, but somehow the rights to the name Harvest Moon in the West remain with the previous publisher of the series in this side of the world, Natsume, and they decided to continue publishing games under the Harvest Moon name in the West, but those are made by a completely different team of developers. By the way, in Japan there is no confusion about this because Marvelous develops and publishes their games over there, and the Japanese name of the franchise is Bokujo Monogatari, which means ranch story, not Harvest Moon. So yeah, deeply confusing corporate shenanigans here. But anyways, I am a big fan of the original Harvest Moon games, and Tales of Two Towns is for sure one of the better entries in the series in my opinion. As its subtitle implies, there are 2 towns situated very close to each other, and they are radically different in terms of culture, architecture and farming practices. You choose one of them to reside right in the beginning of the game, which will have a big effect on the gameplay itself, as each side specializes in different farming aspects. The eastern side is focused on growing crops, while the western side is focused on animal produce. This is a great opportunity to get this game, as it's going for really cheap now, 80% off from the regular price, selling for $3.99. Next is Harvest Moon The Lost Valley and Harvest Moon Skytree Village. These are the first 2 3D Harvest Moon games after the split between the 2 publishers, so they are not true Harvest Moon titles, and therefore I would not suggest you picking these up. You can see online that they were mostly received with mixed to bad scores, like 4s and 5s. I am mentioning them here just because The Tale of Two Towns is also on sale, and to be clear that the other 2 are likely better to avoid, as in both of them the graphics as well as the gameplay are grossly lacking in the refinement that the true Harvest Moon games became known for. Next we have all the Steamworld games. Those are all fantastic games, you can't go wrong with any of them. The 2 Dig titles are action platformers with a really well polished gameplay and a fantastic loop of going back to town and selling the stuff you dig from the long and deep dungeons you explore on both. They are getting an 80% discount, with one going for €1.79 and 2 for $3.99. Then Steamworld Heist is a tactical shooter game. Very unique gameplay on this one. First of all, differently from most tactical games, it's not in a top-down view, but rather in a side view in 2D. You position your team of robots, each with widely different weapons and abilities, and to attack attack, you manually aim the shot at the enemies, introducing a welcome skill-based feature into a strategy game. This is a pretty cool title that lots of people passed on not knowing how unique it is. Heist is also 80% off, currently going for $2.99. In my previous video, which I am linking in the top right corner and in the description, I covered another sale from other publishers including Capcom, and those are still going on. Capcom is giving huge discounts of up to 90% in important games on the Ace Attorney, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Street Fighter and Mega Man series, but most of those are only taking place in the Americas region right now. The only one currently on sale in Europe is Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D, going for 90% off. We also have a good number of other games worth a mention. You can check all of them in detail in my previous video, but I'll also briefly mention the more meaningful ones now. The 3 Parascientific Escape games are terrific visual novel puzzle games, exclusive to the 3DS and digital only, and they're on sale for just a few days more, so check those out. Then Final Fantasy Explorers is currently 60% off in Europe and Americas. This is the Final Fantasy take on the Monster Hunter gameplay, quite interesting. Go Go Cocopolo 3D is a quirky and loads of fun game, but hard to describe in a few words. Then Adventure Bar Story is a budget-looking RPG, but it has a cool, addictive gameplay loop where you manage your bar and do a lot of resource gathering and cooking. And there are a few other titles worth a mention. You should be seeing them on screen now, but check out the other video for more details if you want. I just don't want to repeat all the same stuff to be respectful to viewers who already watched the previous video. And that's it for this Europe-focused sale coverage video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll keep monitoring the 3DS and Wii U daily for new sales, and I'll keep you posted both here on YouTube as well as on Twitter, so consider following me here and there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.